The best part about having my own YouTube channel is I get to make a video on pretty much anything I want. Hence Tag Back, the show where every week we take a look at another blaster from the past to see what it could offer us today in the present. Today's blaster isn't exactly from the past so much, although it is discontinued and you can't find it anymore unless you look on Amazon and want to pay double the MSRP, which may or may not be worth it because the entire ammo type was discontinued. Yes, I'm talking about Vortex today, which overall isn't that old, and the blaster we're taking a look at is the final blaster of the Vortex line, the NERF Zombie Strike Fusefire. I know what you're all thinking, why review the Zombie Strike Fusefire? It came out in 2014, it's not even that old! And yet it's been discontinued and it was the final blaster in the entire Vortex line. We may never see another Vortex blaster, which is too bad because I loved these things. I thought these were great ammo, and I just want an excuse to talk about what is probably my favorite blaster of all time. This thing never got any love, probably because of videos like this.
Ammunition. So it looks like you can store your discs in here, and it's interesting that it only comes with 5. But it has 5 loading slots, so you can in theory actually store 6 discs in your Fusefire because you can fit 5 here, but then obviously you can chamber one up here. Alright, well I am missing something. So I think that it fires in a very different way. It looks like you slide it into this slot here, and then it'll stick there, which is kind of wild. You pull it back, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but it drops in, and then you let it fly forward to chamber it. The interesting thing is it looks like I can store my next shot after chambering, and it'll stick there without any misfires. So in theory, you could store 7 discs at once, and we can continue in that fashion. Now we can load the second one. So, I like this blaster.
12 o'clock midnight.
So I'm going to go ahead and chamber this one, pull one out from here. I wish there were LEDs here, but you can't have everything. And, that's weird. Did this one not chamber? Okay. Drop it. Load. I must not have pulled it back all the way, and get that one in there to charge. It is, much easier to see the ammunition as it flies by night. But that is my review for the NERF Zombie Strike Fusefire.
How many views does that have? Well, clearly everybody disliked it, right? I frickin' hate the internet. People make mistakes, so clearly he put annotations up, he made a lengthy description, something to fix his mistake where he didn't even frickin' understand the main concept of the blaster, right? Oh, why did it have to be the Fusefire? After that train wreck, it's not much of a surprise why blasters like this just don't exist anymore. Which is sad, because this is probably the last amazing thing NERF has ever engineered. Yeah, we have stuff like the Chaos coming out, which uses a conveyor belt, which is new. You got the Hyper Strike, which is also a conveyor belted blaster that shoots elite darts. If you haven't seen Zombono Machine's video on it, what the hell are you doing watching this? And everything else is still kind of the same. They're both flywheelers. Then you've got the Mastodon, which is a flywheeler. You've got just the same old crap every year, and nothing that's really making me wonder, you know, what happened to this? See how good this blaster looks? It is amazing. You can't even fully appreciate it on camera, but it's got nice texture right here, a matte finish. It's even got little bits of matte finishing up here between the orange on another piece of orange plastic. Sharp lines all over the place. Probably one of the coolest blasters you could paint since the Dart Tag line. What happened? This thing looks beautiful. The perfect, most comfortable grip this side of the Rip Shot, which was another beautiful blaster. Translucent green tactical rail with green LEDs with an ultraviolet LED in the barrel because it meant to shoot glow-in-the-dark discs. My gosh, even the little pullback ring back here has got matte finishing on the top of it with the rest of it just being glossy. An amazingly well-designed blaster. The batteries go in the handle to power all of the LEDs, and the best part about this blaster is not only didn't have dart storage up at the front, but it had a 5-round P90 style magazine up in the top that's integrated. So I just shove a disc in there, I shove another disc in there, I shove another disc in there. It don't matter, it can hold 5 of them. You pull this back, let it go, a disc is chambered. I love this thing. This is an amazing blaster for a couple of logical reasons. Its most direct competitor is in fact the Vigilon. And the Vigilon was a really cool blaster too. You popped out the drawer right there, which is your magazine, another internal magazine blaster. You put discs in there, close it up, pull it back, and you fire it. And it's pretty darn cool. It is a bit bigger than the Fusefire, but where the Fusefire got its edge is not only does it seem a little more powerful than the Vigilon, but this is probably the only blaster it is the only blaster where if I have this pointed at you, let's say I have it resting on a box or something like that on behind cover, I can prime it, have a disc in the chamber, and load another disc in there without ever taking my eyes off you. I can be ready at any time to shoot you. That is phenomenal. It's like a lever action design, but it's in a pistol with a pullback slide. Such a well-designed blaster. Is it perfect? Hell no. This thing has a tendency to jam, and if you want it to run right and you want it to be reliable, you have to give it a lot of tender, loving care. You have to take this thing apart, which honestly is not the best experience ever, although it can be done, and lubricate the crap out of everything. This slide particularly, you have to have this magazine well lubricated, or yes, you will end up with jams if you have some bad discs or you do something crazy with it. Now, Coop was saying that he was having some issues with this thing priming at different angles instead of just flat, which is normally how you would use it anyway, but let's say you wanted to prime it like this. Well, it does work, although you might have to kind of finagle it a little bit. It might not automatically return, but it will in fact work. Even downwards works. So sideways, a little finicky, but it will work. You just kind of have to play with the slide a little bit. But horizontal, it works fine, because that's the way gravity works. That's the way it feeds into that slide. And honestly, it will jam. I had it jam on me a couple of times at Dart Wars, but if you lubricate everything, it will work flawlessly. If anybody is using discs at one of your wars, whether it's like a Nitron or something like that, which happens, NERV still uses Nitrons all of the time because it's one of the fastest firing blasters you could possibly have one of these. It is so easy to just pick up discs and feed in there. And you can have a belt of discs on you, could be running around, you can get off a couple of shots, and easily just feed more discs in there. It is so much fun to use this thing. I cannot understate that enough. It is a phenomenal blaster. It looks incredible. The performance is okay. It is a disc blaster. What do disc blasters do well? Disc blasters are really good at suppressing targets. Discs like to hang in the air for a little while. So if you have discs coming at you, you're probably not going to push forward, which make these really good at keeping people pinned down. The ranges are still pretty decent because they happen to float in the air, and if you get good with them, you can pretty much, as long as you're indoors, place a disc wherever you want every single time because of that curve. Naturally, you would go like this if you want to fire it straight up and get that nice solid angle with like a dart. But if you want to use it with the disc, I could point over here and hit somebody directly in front of me who's 40 or 50 feet away behind cover because the disc will naturally curve to the right. You can get really good with that, which is one of the reasons why Dart Wars was so scary with the refs there, because they used these things constantly, and they were faster with a proton than I was ever with this blaster. Still, these blasters are really good at mid to close range, making it the perfect sidearm. Discs are wide, they're much wider than darts, they're much harder to dodge and much easier to hit targets with, especially at that mid-range where they start curving. It's kind of hard for you to dodge them, and they're still moving at a decent enough speed. A wonderful, wonderful blaster that I can highly recommend if there's discs anywhere near you. Use a Fusefire. I love the Fusefire. I may be a little bit biased in this review because I freaking love this blaster. I cannot get over how good it is. And we'll probably never see anything like it ever again. I'm so upset because we don't get blasters like this anymore. We kind of got the DL44 and the Ren Blaster, or Ray Blaster, whatever it's called, that were internal magazines, kind of similar to the Magnus. We had the Magnus, but we won't see engineering like this, or the Speedload 6, or the Quick 16 ever again, which is an absolute shame. Please, what do you think about the Fusefire? Do you own one? Do you want one now? Let me know what you think down in the comment boxes below. Like I said, this is one of my favorite blasters, so I really want to hear those of you who like it, what you like about it, and if you hate it, at least tell me why. But if you do hate it, of course the dislike button is there for you as well. But I pity you. You won't know such an amazing blaster like the Fusefire. I'm Walcom S7. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to see some more things I've done, of course, you can watch these two right here. Both of them are tag back. Both of them are on some pretty cool blasters that you might not have known existed. And then, of course, if you want to see next week's tag back, you can go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That's what it's there for. But if not, you can always just check back weekly on Monday to see the next video in the tag back series, where I take a look at another old blaster every week for every blaster, which hopefully should mean I'm looking at blasters until the end of time. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in an entirely different one. Seriously, potatoes, thank you. Thank you very much for giving this to me, because I wasn't going to pay 35 bucks for another one. I love it, but I can't rationalize that love all the time now, can I? Go check out Potato's channel. I'll have a link right here you can click on. Does some amazing cosmetic mods, and of course has lots of discussions on lots of things in the Nerf arena. Oh man, thank you so much. And while we're at it, Jangular is doing an entire week of war footage because Burn just started back up. So go ahead and check out Jangular's channel as well if you want to see some actual nerfing action where nobody is using a Fusefire, because screw it. Walcom out.